Hello, hope you're all doing well. So yeah, just have some like racial reflections as I'm trying to do as much anti-racist work and look at my own racism and how that impacts other people and trying to reduce it, like trying to create more awareness of my whiteness and the fact that I am a part of a racial group and I have to think about that and also think about how to reduce harm. Like white folks who are undervalued in other areas can kind of hide behind their other undervalued identities, and I feel like I'm just reflecting on how like I feel like my social anxiety causes harm as well. So that's something to really take seriously because sometimes I worry so much about being racist or being oppressive that I feel like it makes me more racist and oppressive. So like if I'm so anxious about being racist around people from the global racial majority and therefore I act weird, which has happened, and like even though I find it really hard to tell what I'm like, my reality often is not the same as what other people experience. So like I will think I've been really horrible or rude and other people will be like, oh no, that does happen quite a lot. But I do feel like my social anxiety can be destructive, and yes, there's some element of like, yes, like that. Obviously it's hard for me to be really socially anxious as well. Realizing that the anxiety can cause harm as well can help me to try to focus more on reducing the social anxiety, not just for me, but because of my values, and to reduce harm on undervalued races and undervalued groups as well. Part of my white allyship group, like one of the folks in it, they dated a black lady, and I'm mentioning this because of the context of what I'm about to say, where like she was saying her partner was like, look, for goodness sake, you are going to be racist at points. I think she was so worried about being racist that it was making everything much worse. And even though I empathize with that worry, like, there's just got to be a point where we have to, like, just calm ourselves down, because it's not, I think it's destructive for a lot of other people and a lot of marginalized races for us to be so worked up about it, like, and I think it's also like mixed in and caught up with the idea that like white people really like to think that we're good people. And I think my history, there's like white Irish Catholicism as well, and a lot of that I find is very obsessed with being like right and good and never acknowledging anything other than good, which is actually incredibly bad and incredibly evil. So I think, as in, people that only think they're good actually are often the most evil, and like act in ways that are extremely destructive, because there's no way we're going to be 100% good. She found that really, really helpful, to just be like, you are going to be racist sometimes. And yes, it's not great, but like excessively worrying about it is going to make it worse. Just kind of acknowledging it when it happens, and like then using that to reduce it as much as you can. It's the same with like, we're always going to, well, yeah, we're arguably always going to be oppressive in different ways, transphobic, ableist, etc. And the more we learn about these things and try to reduce it, obviously, the less that happens. So hopefully, but it's like a lifelong commitment and a lifelong work. I have something called oppression OCD, where my special interest in inequalities and in being anti-racist has like collided with my social anxiety and my OCD, like worrying about stuff obsessively to the point where it's quite destructive. I've been trying to sort that out for a long time now, maybe like the past year, intensively trying to reduce that. So yeah, and that's the thing, like that's why like learning about white awareness and white supremacy and racism can be so liberating for white people as well, because we suffer as well from it, not as much as people from the global racial majority, but it's still shit for us as well. Like the amount of racial tension I have, like the amount of anxiety I have about it, the amount that I worry about it, the amount that I am not as calm as I want to be around different races because I'm worrying about it so much. Like the fact that like white supremacy makes us fucking isolated from everyone, the fact that white supremacy is fucking up the whole earth and has fucked up all of us basically. And may I cause as least harm as possible and learn from it when I do cause harm, and reduce it and be accountable and apologize and move on. How important it is for me to just be as calm as I can with this awareness and not hide behind the fact that I'm autistic and all my other kind of undervalued identities. Yes, I think autism and social anxiety is feeding into this in a unique and interesting way, but it doesn't mean I'm not oppressive, and it doesn't mean I should not be accountable and also that context is important in exploring this as well and in reducing my harm. Apparently, some people of the global racial majority feel quite suspect of like white people that like are like I'm this and I'm this and I'm disabled and I'm this and I'm this, as if it means that it's like they can't do any harm and that's their kind of protection. Yes, I think I can see where they're coming from, and I do think it's important for people to claim identities that are important to them, but they need to do it in careful ways, and they shouldn't use it to hide their racism and never be accountable for it as well. So yeah, I think it's a balance between all these things. Hope that makes sense.